Town of Prescott Valley regular town council meeting, October 12th, 2023. Folks, I understand that the sound is not very good in here. We're going to try to do our best. Hopefully you guys can hear what's going on. So with that being said, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Leyva. Councilmember Greer.
Here.
Councilmember Dickinson.
Here.
Councilmember Hepperly. Councilmember Schumacher. Present. Vice Mayor Hunt.
Here.
Mayor Pagoda.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, I'd like to welcome down Jerry Ferguson for our invocation and to lead us in the pledge. So please stand.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, you who promised to never leave us or forsake us, we come to you with humble hearts, thanking you for your presence in all that we do and wherever we are. Thank you for protecting our first responders in challenging times and for giving them wisdom and courage in making decisions. Thank you for protecting our medical personnel in situations which demand their sharpest behavior and ability. Thank you for helping us to wisely move through lifestyle decisions we've never experienced before. Father, I pray for your continued leadership amidst our political leaders, nationally, statewide, and locally. As we become increasingly engaged in the various debates and discussions leading up to casting our ballots, may we have a sense of peace that you are guiding us. I thank you for our town members and their desire to serve us to the best of their abilities. Your word says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Thank you for the growth that is taking place in them during this process. I thank you for all the department heads and town employees who seek to make the town of Prescott Valley an enjoyable and productive place to live. Father, as the residents of our community express themselves in ways in which our legal allows us to do, I pray that you'll give us time to share with one another and enjoy the freedoms we enjoy. And as we exercise our freedom of speech, may we all grow stronger. With our world situation unpredictable, Father, I pray that our national leaders will hear your word which says, nations will come to your light and kings to the brightness of your dawn. May we renew our commitment to you as Almighty God of this world, who never allows anything to occur without your knowledge or will. Our Father, may this be our attitude and prayer as we continue through our meeting tonight and beyond. I pray this in the name of our Redeemer. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I always want to say amen at the end of that, which means so be it.
Thank you, sir. Item 3, proclamation, National American Indian Heritage Month.
Whereas the A-Star Yavapai chapter of Prescott Valley, Arizona is sponsoring National Native American Heritage Month in the Tri-City area during the month of November. And whereas the history and culture of our great nation have been significantly influenced by Native American and indigenous peoples. And whereas the contributions of Native Americans have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today. And whereas their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as part of a rich legacy throughout the United States. And whereas Native American Awareness Week began in 1976, and recognition was expanded by Congress and approved by President George Bush in August of 1990, designating the month of November as National American Indian Heritage Month, now known as National Native American Heritage Month. And whereas in honor of National Native American Heritage Month, community celebrations as well as numerous cultural, artistic, educational, and historical activities have been planned. Now therefore, I, Kel Pagoda, Mayor of the Town of Prescott Valley, Arizona, do hereby declare November 2023 as Native American Heritage Month in the Town of Prescott Valley, and urge all of our citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving Moving on to item 4, call the public. At this time, members of the public may comment on matters listed on the agenda or solely on matters within the jurisdiction of the town. Any persons wishing to address the council must register their name with the town clerk prior to the commencement of the meeting. The council's response is limited to responding to criticism, asking staff to review a matter commented upon, or asking that a matter be put on a future agenda. Such remarks shall be limited to 3 minutes unless additional time is granted by the mayor. So for this portion of the call to public, I know there are going to be quite a few people here who want to speak about item 8A. So if you're just going to speak about item 8A, let's save it for the public hearing then. And then this will be saved for everything else. Sound good? Good?
So for this call to the public, I have registered 3 people, and the first one is Diane Gomez.
And don't worry about for the public hearing if you haven't registered. We'll figure out a system to make sure everyone's heard.
Am I supposed to come up here?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm just going to read this. And I gave you all a packet of, what I thought was appropriate, but, oh, can you not hear me? Oh, man, I'm usually very loud, so, okay. So the famed land fire sale has resulted in the undeserved mental anguish of thousands of PD residents and neighboring communities. The ongoing pattern of developers requesting changes to longstanding land use and zoning parameters, even in the face of large-scale opposition by the voters of PV, is bewildering. The change requests that these outside developers clearly seeks to destroy the town and country feel of PV, yet they appear to be undeterred. Why are they so confident that they aren't wasting their time? As opposition mounts, tactics of the Fanes and their developers are shifting to include Board of Adjustment loopholes, water loopholes, and annexation, to name a few. On August 28th, the Board of Adjustments approved Clipper Court's development pending a traffic analysis. This in the face of hundreds of village residents who oppose this unexpected land use change. Sorry, I'm not used to public speaking. From what I was told, the Board of Adjustments typically grants land use permits in situations such as when a resident wishes to establish a dog grooming business in their home. That the unelected board was able to approve a land use change from C2, and I think C stands for commercial, to what is clearly a residential use, 49 leased manufactured homes, seems like a loophole to me. Please add the following to the Clipper Court traffic analysis. On September 14th, a large moving truck was traveling westbound on the 69 when it went off the road, down an embankment, flipped on its side, and slid over 300 feet down Village Way. Had anyone been walking on this road, they would have suffered severe injury or death. Village Way is the main road servicing Clipper Courts and all of the nurses, firemen, and teachers and their families in the near future. What the Fanes have proposed for these public servants is that they live very close to a very busy highway, lacking a buffer to block the street and noise and dust. They lack nearby amenities. They have ingress and egress issues, and they reside right next to the narrow Village Way, which could someday be used as a bypass to the 69 should there be an inconvenient accident which blocks the highway. A situation that was considered inappropriate when the Fanes requested 54 townhomes on the same site is now somehow all good. Okay.
You got a little bit left, man. You can...
Since it is my understanding that the board are unpaid, appointed volunteers, I think that the buck stops with you guys. And that's it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Next, we have Bill Williams.
Welcome, sir.
Ms. Fernandez, I'm only going to speak 6 sentences on Lakeshore 650. Should I cover everything now or wait for that part of the agenda, or Mayor?
You're fine, sir.
Okay. The audio's okay, Mayor.
Well, we'll see.
The lighting's much better for a guy who had eye surgery on Monday. My name is Bill Williams. I stand in solidarity with the 4 citizens group who oppose the current explosive growth and the building of future high-density housing areas that will impact our infrastructure, cops, firemen, wild animals, and water supply. On projects like the 650, if annexed, I guess they're going to pay for the water pipe and the impact fees, but us locals want to know who's moving there and what jobs will they have and what the word affordable really means. And surely a company like the Fanes has market research, and that means the council has the market research. Why not share all this? Attainable housing is only defined by a $48,000 a year household income, apparently. Affordable housing for all sounds like a communist manifesto. The numbers seem squishy. Is it 650 acres? Is it 3,500 acres? Is it hundreds of homes, or is it 3,500? Mayor, council, the board, the commission are not trusted and don't have their finger on the pulse of this community. Town council, of course, approves the membership of planning and zoning commission, and that's where citizen distrust is at the highest. And the Board of Adjustment gets involved with disputes over zoning, and their bylaw says if there's any question regarding a conflict of interest between a member and a development, it must be reported to the town. When the Board of Adjustment sits a former San Francisco planning commissioner, a consultant for home builders, a construction worker, a California architect who worked on with one of our nation's largest real estate companies, managing developments in Malibu, Beverly Hills, Saudi, Dubai, and Japan. I suppose it's legal to be all these things, but the current membership smells a little fishy, and we need an ethics policy that has teeth in it. On our Planning and Zoning Commission, we have one realtor, one commercial real estate financier. His background implies that he lives here but works for a Los Angeles bank that only does real estate loans. There's also one lawyer on the commission who works for builders and developers who says he owns commercial real estate here. And there's one realtor developer who reported that he works full-time for Congressman Gosar. And of course, the Contractors Association Executive Director is a Planning and Zoning Commissioner. You know, if they get an opportunity to know what development is going to be approved, and if this was Washington, D.C., we would call this influence peddling or insider trading. This appearance of impropriety smells like a fish on a boat dock. We expect you to do better. Thank you, sir.
Patricia Betzel?
You had better hearing than I did on that one, ma'am, because I didn't even hear it.
Patricia Betzel, 3883 North Fairfax Road, Prescott Valley. The council, the mayor, the town manager, you've heard a lot of discussions about why we have problems here in PV with mega developments moving forward. I want to take a look at what the county is doing and recommend that the town of Prescott Valley could learn a lot from them. Their goals include things like supporting communities through collaboration, real collaboration, ensuring healthy communities and quality of life, preserving and embracing our rural heritage, encouraging responsible and balanced growth, encouraging responsible stewardship of natural resources. The town could learn a lot from them, and for one, I think the county really understands why people move here. Peace, open space, natural open space, wildlife, small town, little traffic, walking down the street with your neighbor or your dog. How many meetings and letters and emails does it take before this administration understands what we want? They give us plenty of lip service, but they're really annoyed when we continue to fight these developments. They ask for steering committees so that they can get their input from the public, but then they reinvent the meanings of words, fundamental words like open space. Instead of meaning forests and grasslands and farms and ranches, streams and rivers, suddenly it means baseball fields, soccer fields, flattening out hills so we can put soccer fields out there and, rent it to people to use. We live in one of the most beautiful places in America, and this administration seems to be hell-bent on destroying it. They want to put a gondola on the top of Glassford Hill, a historical landmark, a
dormant volcano, not dead. And they've already approved of the destruction of the north side of Glassford Hill. And you have to go on top to see how high they were terracing Glassford Hill for more Jasper homes, in addition, of course, to the future 4-lane highway, just so they can get to the 69 faster without stopping. Iron King Trail is just a joke. It's a dirt path through a neighborhood. If you want to see nature, you have to go to Peavine and Prescott because they understand what people want. This town has allowed projects that class with residential areas, that cover over rivers, that eradicate pronghorn, that decimate grasslands. You know, people have to drive quite a ways, or they can drive down to the end of Lakeshore and just listen to the wind blowing through the grasslands down there. This is why we're here. If folks need to be entertained at disc parks and fake ponds and imported trees, they can go anywhere, but they won't find another Prescott Valley because it can't be reproduced. We've talked until we're blue in the face. We are at a turning point. There's an expression for it: irreconcilable differences. We, the people of Prescott Valley and the town of Prescott Valley, cannot work out our issues. We speak different languages. The town speaks Maricopa County, and we speak love of the land and quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up, item 5, council communications. We'll start on the end. Councilman Greer. Council comments. Councilman Dickinson.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this evening. This last week, we had a harvest festival that we had several hundred people from our community celebrate the autumn, and it was very successful. We've been to a ribbon cutting for the State Route 69 pavement preservation project that included the Central Yavapai Metropolitan SIMPO organization, and the elected officials from around the Quad City areas attended this. And we are very grateful to Quan Nguyen, our state representative, for getting the funds to pave Highway 69. And you probably have experienced and noticed the change in that road and between Stone Ridge and Truewood. And we're very grateful to Representative Quan Nguyen for having done this. And we also yesterday attended a Coffee with a Cop event at Insight Firearms, and we're very grateful for our officers in blue and thank them for having these events once a month where we can come to know them. Thank you.
Councilman.
So this afternoon we had a CASA board meeting. I happen to be the liaison for that program. And I just wanted to go over a few things that they offer. They offer in-house dining for a very reasonable price if you're able to come over and share a meal. They have Meals on Wheels, which is home delivery, and that's available to everyone. It's not like age restricted, and that was the part I wanted to get across most. They offer a food pantry for anybody who has a need. They have bake sales, and they also offer takeout. So if you call in early and you wanted to stop by and pick up an order, you can. They also offer so many different programs. They have a thrift store inside. They're coming up with a Halloween bingo. I have no idea what that entails. They offer haircuts once a month if you would like to get a haircut there. They have pottery classes and scrapbooking and card making and so many other things that they offer. Every month they feature a birthday luncheon. The cost for membership is $30 a year, and you only need to be 18 years and older. So please don't think that it's something that's only offered to senior citizens. It's for everyone, and I just wanted to make that point today. They are always looking for volunteers. They have a lot of upcoming things coming up with the Veterans Lunch, a Thanksgiving lunch. They offer Christmas lunches, and then they also have holiday gift bags for the homebound. So if you're able to share some time and go on down and be with the people at CASA, there's some amazing people present, and it's always good to surround yourself with a lot of friends. Thank you.
Guys, I just want to point out, if there's some people that are standing there having just trouble standing, there are some free spots in the front, I believe. There's a couple spots in the front row, 3, and there's a couple over here. I just hate to see you guys stand there, and we'll kick staff out of their seats too in the back row if we have to as well. So I want to make sure you guys are managing this room best possible. So we'll keep that in mind. Vice Mayor?
Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I want to share an email I got from a business about the police department today. It says, I want to thank you guys again for taking the time to meet with us and letting us voice our concerns. My team are grateful and have a sense of relief. We appreciate everything you guys are doing. And I ditto that because I think we have the best police department in the whole world. I want to call your attention, I spoke about the 100 Kids Project. Last time we have 170 kids that qualified for homelessness in the Humboldt Unified School District. There's flyers on the back table outside for that. House of Hope, 316, I'd like to tell them congratulations. House of Hope's mission is to be a tangible example of God's love to the elderly by providing for their daily needs and giving them a home and a family while telling them with our words and our actions that they are loved and valued by us and by God, our loving Heavenly Father. Currently, this nonprofit houses 19 seniors in PV who would otherwise be homeless. On October 5th, House of Hope announced that they purchased their first duplex, so they don't have to rent, in PV. They've been renting to date. This purchase will allow them to expand their seniors from 19 to 24, so they aren't homeless. I support this charity, and I hope you will consider doing the same. Check them out on Facebook at House of Hope 316 or at h10ministries.com/prescott-house-of-hope-316. And there's flyers on the back outside that have information on House of Hope. I confirmed with planning staff that the observatory has not officially submitted an application for a change of zone, or the project either. So no project is requested for the observatory. The developer has been meeting with staff, council, and residents for over a year. A gentleman from the country club spoke at our last meeting and cited an email the town manager sent to me expressing his concern with the project and proposed density. I share that concern, and I do not support this project as proposed. So let's hope they don't end up filing. No, please, no, that's not necessary. I would also like to extend an invitation to those interested to the 11th Annual Evening of Destiny. It's October 21st, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Elks Theater. House Member Wynn is a speaker among others. Their mission is to connect victims of human trafficking with qualified healing restoration programs while providing prevention, education to local families and communities. For more information on this event on October 21st, please stop by Prescott Valley Amish Home Decor, who is a major sponsor of the event.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 6, Manager's Report, Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the September monthly report is available. It's posted online, available to the council as well as to the members of our public, and it's a compilation of data points, activities taking place not only within the organization but across the community. Thank you.
Moving on, item 7, consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered routine by the town council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. And for tonight, we're going to be removing item 7, F as in Frank, completely. We won't be voting on it separately. So with that being said,
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to highlight that there is a reappointment of Bruce Evans to the Planning and Zoning Commission for consideration and possible action, which is 7C, and a reappointment of Richard Lefhead to the Building Board of Appeals, and also reappointment of Cal Knight to the Building Board of Appeals.
thank you, ma'am. Can I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve all matters listed under consent agenda with the exception of item 7F, RP 23-003 by electronic vote.
Clerk, please call the vote.
It passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up, item 8A, annexation ANX 23-001, Lakeshore 650. Mr. Ruby.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, thank you. The item before you is annexation 23.
Excuse me, sir, I don't want to interrupt. This is a public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item before you is annexation 23001, Lakeshore 650. This is a picture of the annexation area, 652 acres, and it is bisected by Lakeshore Boulevard, and it's at the terminus of Lakeshore Boulevard and Fane Road. This gives you general location of the site within the town. It is currently outside town limits, as you know, and the reason for the annexation. The project is located where the blue arrow is indicating. It is, as I mentioned, 652 acres. And it would be annexed into the town at the current county land use designation or zoning designation of RCU 2A, which is the 2-acre minimums. This is another picture of the GPA 23001 area. As you can see, it is at the terminus of Lakeshore Boulevard and Fane Road. If annexed, the site could be served by Prescott Valley Water and Sewer Service after construction of the required utility requirements. Other public utilities are reasonably available. The first step in an annexation process is filing a blank petition with the Yavapai County Recorder's Office. This was actually done on September 12th of this year. That started a mandatory 30-day waiting period during which a public hearing had to be held by the town council to determine if staff would then go forward to obtain signatures from the property owners, and that is tonight's public hearing meeting. Staff would have a year in which to obtain those signatures and potentially bring to the town council an ordinance that would accomplish the annexation. If council determines to do so, direct staff informally per ARS 947A3. The process would then be tied to ongoing discussions with the potential developers of the property who hope to bring together a package of actions sometime in the near future to bring the property into the town, rezone it, and reach development agreements in relation to the Lakeshore project. I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have them at this time.
All right, sir, so we're going to have to kind of break it down a little bit here. So this is the first process where someone has to just apply to the town to get the process started so conversations can occur?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Because you mentioned, you used the word package, a package of approvals?
A package of approvals. Following the annexation request, there will be a zone map change request to rezone the property. And if I may go back, general plan land use designation is Village Pad F2. So that would be the underlying general plan designation at this point.
And this picture you're showing, where did you get that?
That's out of our general plan document, part of this land use plan element exhibit OU5.
Okay. So I know that the applicant has been going out, and it's been happening for a few months because originally they wanted to try to go through the county. Is that correct? So there's been a series of meetings to meet county requirements, and then they kind of pivoted, and now are attempting to follow Prescott Valley's procedure, correct?
That is correct.
So just because an applicant is at the meeting and they're saying, hey, we want to do 3,500 homes or 4,000 homes, that doesn't mean anything during annexation.
Mr. Mayor, at this point, it does not. That is simply an asking, if you will, on the part of the developer. Nothing has been determined in terms of the density, number of units. At this point, it's just the annexation request.
Because 3,500 units is an incredible amount, in my opinion, and that would just be ridiculous. But at some point, a conversation is going to occur over the next, multiple conversations will occur over the next year, correct?
That is correct.
However long it takes to do the process. And then during that conversation, there'll be discussions of wildlife corridors.
That is correct.
parks, improvements to roads, density, commercial acreage, things like that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's several items, several points in a development agreement that need to be reached prior to moving forward with the annexation and any other zone map change of that nature. Those are the deal points, if you will, in the agreement, and those that have not been reached.
So if the applicant doesn't agree with town staff or town council assessment of what should go on that property, what happens?
If we reach an impasse, as you are mentioning, the applicant may either pull the project or continue to negotiate with staff to get the best project possible for the town if they decide to move forward.
Because I know there's a lot of individuals here who would want nothing to happen on this property. I get that. Right? We understand that, correct? I totally see where you're coming from. This being a part of the general plan, I had the clerk pull the numbers, and it's been voted on since 2002 as being part of the general plan, as this portion of the property eventually making it into the town of Prescott Valley. It was voted on, the general plan in 2002 was 66% of those voted approved it. In 2013, 55.75% approved it. And just last year, actually 11 months ago, almost 59% approved this general plan. But with that being said, the general plan is still a blank slate, right? Like, everyone in this room cares about where they live, right? Everyone here cares about it. You don't want your property values to go down. You don't want, crime rate to go up. We all want to live here. We live here for a reason. So with that being said, the applicant still has the right, the property right, to ask to come into the town of Prescott Valley. They don't have the right, though, to come in and tell us, hey, we're putting 3,500 homes here because we can. I mean, they could ask for that, or they could say that, but that's not the direction, or that's not what staff sees, that's not what council sees. So this is an opportunity for everyone in this room to be a part of the process moving forward. People here, I'm sure, would like to see wildlife corridors, correct? We would like to see a park, maybe like a Mountain Valley Park out in that area, open space. You would like to, okay, so maybe some of you don't want it. We don't want that, okay, all right, I'm sorry. There's some people, though, that want that. Would we want trails? No trails? No trails at all? Okay.
Leave it like it is. Leave it like it is.
Okay, hang on, folks, hang on. We're all going to have an opportunity. So what we're saying is, here's an opportunity to have conversations moving forward. I know some of you may have felt ingenuized in the past, saying, hey, you know what, they're just going to cram something down our throats. But I'm telling you that the majority of staff don't trust. Okay. The majority of staff here, from Gilbert Davison down, has not done this annexation for the town of Prescott Valley of this size. They've done it in other portions of the state, but this is a whole different group that they care about Prescott Valley. Everyone that's sitting up here cares about Prescott Valley, okay? No one's in a developer's pocket. I want to throw that out there right now. But what it comes down to is giving an opportunity to the residents to voice your opinion. Yes, some people might not want trails, but there are some people here who are like, you know what, I would love to have a trail. I'd love to walk my dog. I'd love to have a dog park. Those are things that can be discussed. And then later on, down the road, we will have another conversation saying, this is what the town agreed with. This is what the developer wants to do. Is it going to be good for the town of Prescott Valley or not? So that's where we're at, folks. This starts the process of having a conversation to an individual or a group that has the right, where the majority of Prescott Valley residents said that they expect that portion of Prescott Valley to be in town limits. So we have to be able to at least open the dialogue and have this conversation. And then at the end of the day, we can't predict the future. The crystal ball is not that clear. But we can at least say, hey, we went down the road, we got everyone's input on what we should have, and whether or not that is good for Prescott Valley at the end of the day. That's all we can ask. And I know a lot of emotions kick in and people start getting upset, and it's a scary time because you don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to sit here and tell you, 3,500 homes is not happening, okay? That's their starting point, okay? It's a discussion that we can then move forward as a community and see what works and what doesn't work. That's all I'm saying. So, hang on. We're not doing humble. We're not going to call out from the audience, okay? So everyone's going to have a chance at the podium to speak. So that's all we're asking for. Everyone be polite.
please be respectful of everyone's time, and we're going to go from there. So who would like to speak first? Okay. Anyone else? All right. We're going to start in the front row.
Mr. Mayor, I do have 13 people signed up for this.
Oh. How many vote that first? I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't realize we had some signed up. Did anyone not sign up? Okay. We'll save you for the end. How's that sound? All right. Go ahead, ma'am.
First one, Isabel Sarcides.
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, I'm Isabel Sarcides, a 14-year resident of Prescott Valley. I'm also the chairwoman for Prescott Valley Citizens Alliance. I read with interest recently the town talk written by Gilbert Davidson, our town manager. It read in part, Prescott Valley, can I have more time? This is going out on me. Prescott Valley is a place families and individuals choose because of the quality of life, beautiful mountain ranges, and an enviable climate we enjoy. We can thank Mother Nature for the natural beauty of our environment. But we rely on ourselves and our government for our quality of life. That is upon us, and that is upon the services that our government provides. You provide to us water sustainability, I hope, fire protection, police protection, water, sewer services, schools, roads, public utilities, hospitals, medical practitioners and specialists, shopping, libraries, and landfills. A lot of us feel that the services are currently not adequate for current residents. I recently looked at the 2035 general plan, and I'm not sure if it's the same plan that you're looking at, but I did not find Lakeshore 650 annexation or the development identified anywhere in the general plan. The general plan was approved about not even a year ago, and now there's already a major annexation that would also be a major amendment. I looked at Chapter 5, the growth area element, and Exhibit GA1 on Development Project 650. It was not identified. Exhibit GA5 on future annexation. It was not outlined. Note that this area is identified as a Tier 2 growth and development area. What does that mean? Tier 2 requires certain conditions to be present for development, not phased in or not in progress. Tier 2 areas typically have a potential to develop in 15 years. That would be around 2048. Tiers are supposed to capitalize on the existing built environment, natural environment, and community values. It's supposed to optimize fiscal responsibility related to the provision of community services and infrastructure. The master circulation plan in the general plan shows a north-south major arterial adjacent to Green Road and a general corridor from State Route 169 to 89A. These should be completed prior to any consideration for annexation. This annexation will create greater urbanization and loss of town and country character.
How much more do you have left, ma'am?
Sorry?
How much more do you have left?
Just a little bit more.
About 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. The 2022 survey, 65% of respondents said that the pattern of development intensity does not maintain our town and country image. 61% disagree that Prescott Valley is on the right track to satisfy current and future water demands. This annexation is not smart growth. It's growth that is premature and will be a detriment to existing residents. Let's get our own house in order before we start inviting others to come live. I'm asking you to say no to the annexation until quality of life conditions and services are in place for existing residents.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a lot of speakers. Thank you. We have a lot of speakers, so I appreciate your time.
Okay, I just want to say one more thing. It was audacious for Lakeshore 650 to say that the annexation has already been approved. This was on their website. So I think that's why people lose credibility and faith in their government. Thank you so much.
This is why we can't have nice things, folks. I ask that everyone please come
really please, we have a lot of speakers. We want to get through everybody. Please respect everyone's time here and just follow the rules and decorum of the council. Thank you.
Up next is Jean Motter.
Welcome, ma'am. How's the weather going out there? Are we hot in the audience? Is it cold? We're doing okay? All right, good. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Jean Motter. I'm with the Prescott Valley Citizens Alliance, and I live in the Quailwood subdivision. In light of the annexation request by Fane's Signature Group and the proposed rezoning for the Lakeshore 650 project, it's important to point out that since 2020, staff has recommended and this council has approved over 3,300 new construction housing units of one type or another. This is the itemized list of those 3,300 housing units. Many of those units have not been built nor occupied yet, which calls into question the need for any additional housing units at this time. But more importantly, what has this aggressive residential growth added to our quality of life? Where is the proof that the community has benefited from any significant revenue generated by residential growth? Has it provided us with more public facilities, such as parks, schools, and libraries? Do we have higher quality roads and public transit? Has it made us feel safer on the roads and in our neighborhoods? Or has it merely degraded the quality of life for existing residents? The residents of this town are already feeling the strains of years of mismanaged growth. This council and senior staff have admitted that various types of infrastructure and policies that should have been implemented many years ago are today only in the planning stages. So until physical and social infrastructure catches up and is in place to support both existing and future residents, how can town leaders justify annexation and development of higher density communities? Proof of sustainability must be demonstrated. Quality of life for existing residents must take priority. Growth is an option. Stability and sustainability are requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Patricia Betzold.
Welcome back, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, we recently reported to the people of PV that the Fanes had switched bait, retracting their submittal to the County of Yavapai, and instead applying to the town of Prescott Valley for annexation and a zoning map change. In February 17th of this year, the PV staff met with the Fanes and Brown Homes to discuss Lakeshore 650. I have all the letters there in a bag. This one came from our town manager. Late March, they then met with the county and PV together in a group meeting. On March 1st, Yavapai County received an online application from the Fanes and commenced review of a preliminary and a zoning map change, permit number PPM 23-00002. And then in April of 21st, our town manager, in a letter to Jeremy Dye, Director of Development Services in Yavapai County, requested that the town of PV general plan standards and infrastructure conditions be used by the county, and he noted that the certificate of approved water supply would be required and needed to be issued by the Arizona Department of Water Resources. He added that since effluent credits can only be used in PV and are the likely water source, the subdivision process needs to occur after annexation. He added that the application for cause would take 6 to 9 months, and that the quote, the town landowner developer would need to be working on an annexation agreement at the same time as any county's rezoning process. Our respective councils have already begun those discussions, unquote, signed by our town manager. So in May of 31st, they closed the zoning map page change with the county. And in June 21st, or rather, the letter that is Spiritu Loki, Fane's agent, dated their letter to the residents of the Lakeshore area within 1,000 feet,
dated June 21st, so that's almost a month later, they sent a letter to all the neighbors stating that following the open house, they would be making a submittal for a zoning map change to Yavapai County. Now that is misleading, and it is not a spoken lie, it's actually in writing, and I have a copy of that with me. This letter was sent after they had submitted and then retracted the application to the county. They also included all the information about how many homes, etc., enough so that the county was able to to tell them that they needed 24,000 gallons of waste to be taken care of, and so on and so forth. They need a water campus plan and everything else. So in other words, they didn't give them the blank presentation they gave to us at the first two neighborhood meetings, nor did they ever mention that they, after 3 meetings, had decided to go to PV instead. So what we need to understand is Lakeshore 650 is just the beginning of a much larger strategy for the town and for the Fanes. It is surrounded on 4 sides by state trust lands. Once this parcel is developed, it will raise the value of those state trust lands. The state will then auction them off, and the other land surrounding them is more Fane land. So this would be just the beginning of a massive mega development, as you saw Ernesto Ruby present. Village pads, 2 densities 10 times the standard.
Thank you, ma'am.
Andy Graham?
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
You might have to adjust that microphone.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Town Council, I'm Sandy Graham, a resident of Prescott Valley and a new board member for PCPD. I have a strong objection to the annexation and rezoning of parcel 402-14-227V, also known as Lakeshore 650. The parcel of land has a very good purpose use as it is now undeveloped. The 3 significant drainage corridors, as well as the 2 other drainage corridors on the property, collects water and moves the storm waters downstream. This is a very important function here in the desert. My personal opinion, I'd like them to see back in the aquifer. The natural vegetation is utilized by the beautiful pronghorn as well as cattle and other animals. The natural vegetation is utilized by the beautiful pronghorn as well as cattle and other animals. The rolling hills provide shelter and shade for these grazing animals. Influence and money should have no impact on your decision of annexation and rezoning, but rather the best for the town of Prescott Valley and those you serve. I feel that the overextension of town services must be considered in this decision, like police, fire, education, transportation, water, and sewer services. The town council has approved many other new residential applications within the town that haven't been started or completed at this time that will also utilize these services. I feel that the development needs to be slowed in and our infrastructure needs to be given a complete review. I ask that you consider these objections as well as other valid objections voiced by my fellow citizens.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next up, Steve Carroll.
Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Steve Carroll's Pronghorn Ranch. In light of the rumors that this council has already decided to approve the annexation of some 650 acres into Prescott Valley for development of residential dwellings, I would like to point out that this is in reality an intrusive annexation into our precious town water system. This council has demonstrated no real resolve to tackle its responsibility to reach Safe Yield 2025. This annexation would be blatant evidence of this. After years of hearing from you that Prescott Valley has plenty of water, we now hear your verbal acknowledgments that we do have a serious water issue. But they are only words without responsible action.
and they are as worthless as paper water certificates, and they are as weak as the solution of raising our water rates. I would like to remind members of this council that such a vote to annex this proposed development is irresponsible and smacks of coddling the developer rather than serving the people, as each of you promised to do during your campaigns. Members of this council should look west to our Prescott neighbors in their recent election, where the people considered those members who kept similar relationships with developers. They were soundly voted out. And any members of this council who know what is right and responsible but lack the courage to vote responsibly, I encourage you to vote no to annexation and yes to Safefield 2025. This would raise you up in the eyes of the community, and you would experience our appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Carl Shadow?
Welcome, sir.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Carl Shadle. I live here in Prescott Valley, and I had a few comments, obviously, about the 650 acre. I have here this is the Prescott Valley Tribune. I got it yesterday in my driveway, and I read an interesting article here from Mr. Davidson, and Gil was kind enough to introduce a new space that he's got. And he mentioned in here that he's talking about the great place that Prescott Valley is to live and how others will continue to move here. And I'm going to quote now, "The town is actively working to manage this growth and interest in our community by investing in planning, building infrastructure, and protecting valuable resources like water and open space." With all due respect, Bill, we're here to talk about converting 652 acres of pristine grazing and pasture land into 3,500 homes. With that in mind, I was actually doing some research on brown homes. I had not heard of them before, and I learned that they were built homes in Las Vegas. So I went over, and I was searching, doing some research, and I noticed a correlation, frankly, between Prescott Valley and the little town of Henderson, or what used to be a little town of Henderson. It's about 15 miles outside of Vegas, and it used to be a town. I did some property management over in Vegas in the early 80s, and it was a little town you drove through on your way to Hoover Dam. Now, it's not so little. The latest numbers, the earliest numbers I could get for Henderson was back in 1990. Their population was 65,000 people. I think when I was there, it was probably closer to what we have here, maybe 50,000. But you can see the growth pattern of Henderson, Nevada. The issue I wanted to relate to, it was a small town, and Henderson and Las Vegas actually relied on an aquifer, the Las Vegas aquifer, which is exactly what we do. It used to be Las Vegas Springs, and it was artesian wells, and water just bubbled up. Not saying anymore. The population of Henderson grew, and it continued to build homes to accommodate all of the influx. That was good until the 1971 they were able to land an aquifer, but unfortunately the wells started to go dry. We've seen a few issues on our outlet waters where we've had some dry wells. And it turned out that they actually had to switch from using an aquifer because their pumps were running dry, and they had to begin using water from the Colorado River. In 1988, they actually began pumping water from Lake Mead. Oh, 30 seconds.
That's what that means. You can wrap it up.
The point is that Henderson is in deep trouble. We've seen pictures of Lake Mead in recent history. We know what that looks like. We know that the Colorado is at stress, and we also know that the aquifer has not recovered. It recovered briefly after they started pumping water into it, but as they went back, now they're kind of stuck in the middle, and there's not much they can do at this point in time. And I invite to talk to some of the people over there in Henderson to find out what their solutions are planning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tom Steele? Is there a Tom Steele here?
Steele, Mr. Okay. All right, Joelle Gillian?
Welcome, sir. Welcome. I'm not a great speaker, but I really want to talk about the animals and the wildlife that's going to be impacted by all this. A lot of people want to talk about the pronghorn, and they are a delicate species, but one of the main things I'm concerned with is that a lot of the animals that people drive by, and I am privileged to live on Badger Road, the last homes before the development, and I get to see people that park there every day for the wildlife. They get to come by and just look at its beauty. It is a special place, and they don't see the animals, a good percentage of the animals that are there. Most of them nocturnal, a good proportion of them. I cannot understand why they don't get an eviction notice and they're just going to bulldoze them. They'll die underneath the bulldozers. That includes the pronghorn, that includes the raccoons, that includes the coyotes, that includes the roadrunners, the quail, on down to the reptiles. There's some species that people don't even talk about. It seems to be the last agenda on what's going on. There's rare species such as the gray sphinx butterfly, the tiger swallowtail, the tiger whiptail lizards. All those animals are going to be bulldozed. They burrow during the day. They don't get eviction notices. They're just going to be bulldozed. And I just don't understand it. If anybody has time to go out there and just look at that valley, it is a special place, and I just don't understand this. Understand how it goes. Hang on a second, Clark. And sir, don't ever doubt your public speaking abilities. You did a great job.
Denise Berg? Hello. I'm not sure how to follow that. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Town Council. My name is Denise Berg, and I have lived in Prescott Valley for almost 20 years, and in Arizona for about 40. Back in 2004, my husband and I were looking for a quiet neighborhood to raise our family in, and we did manage to find that at the very end of Lakeshore Drive. We live on Tatum Circle, which is near where Joel just spoke of. Our children loved growing up out there in the more rural part of town, and would walk their dog and ride their bikes out in the fields before it was a no trespassing zone. We loved walking or driving by the cows, the rolling fields, and sometimes the pronghorns on our many walks over the years. At night, out there, the sky is so dark and so full of stars on this end of town. I have hosted many stargazing parties over the years for my kids, their friends, and my family members. It is something we still continue to do, even now that they're grown. When I first heard about the Lakeshore 650 project, I was disconcerted and horrified. Our little town of Prescott Valley is already bursting at the seams with all of the new growth, new housing developments, and apartments turning up on every corner. I used to live off of Long Look, and I don't even recognize that road anymore. I didn't know I was on it. The roads are already full of traffic. The new Lakeshore 650 project would put at least 7,000 more cars on the road at 2 cars per average household. And what of our water situation? That has been brought up, and rightfully so. If new communities continue being built everywhere we look and everywhere we turn, our water supply will be depleted, as you know. We cannot house all of the transplants coming from other states, fleeing their mess, and only to come here to make a mess of our little town. The extreme rate of growth and the corporate greed trying to capitalize on all of the people who want to come live in this beautiful community, that is not where the heart of the residents is. Most of us despise at the rate of growth and change that is being put upon us, and we most certainly do not want to see 3,500 new homes and retail stores out of our backyard. On Lake Shore and Fane. We all know that the Agua Fria River runs through there, and that, I'm afraid, would get contaminated by a community that would be put out there as well. The heart of everyone I spoke to, going door to door on Tawago, Rancho Vista, and Manly, everyone is against this. There was 100% disapproval. The Alhams and the Fanes can keep their big city ideas where they belong, in the big city. We do not want them to bring it here. We, the people of Prescott Valley, are not on board with this development, and we hope that you will vote no and do everything in your power to stop this spread. As she mentioned, it will just continue and there will be no stop to it. Please know we are motivated to fight this every step of the way. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Randy Hayes?
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mayor and Vice Mayor and Town Council and the rest of you here. My name is Randy Hayes, and I live in Unit 20 of the Whipsaw Lane area, and that's just right off Lake Shore. And I've been hearing about this project for quite a while. Today, I'm a bicycle rider. I like the trails and things like that, and I was there on Highway 69 and Stone Ridge Drive, and I got stopped at the light, and so I sat there for a while. It must have been at least 2.5 minutes or maybe 3 minutes, and there was at least 100 cars that went by me. This kind of puzzled me. If we're going to have this project, that's going to really increase the traffic problem in this part of the town. And from there on out, when I first came to this valley, it was in 1955. I'm an old Arizona boy. And I remember sitting in the back seat, Mom and Dad driving, and I looked over, and we were coming up from Mayor, and I said, "What's that over there? That's a real estate office." Oh, it was in a trailer with their sign out. And that's what Jackass Flats used to look like. And now to look at it, looks like I moved back to Phoenix again. I love Phoenix. I grew up in Phoenix. And I just don't want to see that happen here. I'm trying to reach out to you guys. We don't need that kind of development here. One of the things that Gilbert Davidson wrote in his article, just the next paragraph down from what the other man was just talking about, was that the Prescott Town Council has adopted a bold strategic plan with specific goals to ensure our community remains a great place to raise a family, do business, retire, which is what I've done, or visit. To accomplish these goals, the council has developed a multi-pronged approach, from water management to the acquisition of recreational open space, whatever that means to him. The town is investing in its future to ensure our residents have a community that is sustainable, well-managed, and economically sound. Is that what you're doing by considering a project like this? And a lot of the other projects that are going, the Jasper project, wow, that's just kind of blowing my mind. I go riding my bike on the P-Vine on the Iron King Trail all the time when I see that development. So, oh good, I got 5 seconds left. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Alexander Rocky?
Rocky? Welcome, sir.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Town Council, thanks for being here. Residents, I want to thank you for voicing your opinion here tonight. The topic I want to start with is regarding obviously Lakeshore 650, but specifically around the idea of obtainability and affordability. That is something that has, I think, kind of been held close to the chest. But recently, one of the developers, Mr. Brad Fain, was on a podcast, October 31st, 2023, with Prescott Times. And during that, he gave us an insight to what that affordability or attainability might look like. They have sectioned off approximately 300 to 400 units to be in this zone of affordability. And let me just read you some quotes with regards to obtainability. We want people who make between 80% and 120% of the gross median income can afford to live here, can afford to live there. Who is that? That's your store manager. That's the manager of your favorite restaurant. That's a nurse. That's a teacher, a firefighter, a policeman, all these folks. Another quote is, our goal is, if you can afford a 2-bedroom apartment, our goal is to be $500 under an apartment, but you'd be in home ownership. Another quote, if an apartment rental is $2,200 to $2,500, we would like to see ourselves at $1,800 to $2,000 a month would be the mortgage and lease. And then a final quote from their website is, attainable housing can be defined as homes that meet our needs, or, quote, homes within reach. Well, let me share some facts with you tonight. According to the Census Bureau, in 2021, the median household income of Prescott Valley is right around $60,000 a year. That means with a take-home pay of $60,000, that would mean that if you are a single resident, your take-home pay would be about $3,692 a month. Now, if you compare that to what they're asking with regards to the mortgage and lease payment, that would be between 49 and 54% of their take-home pay. If they're married, it's slightly lower at 46% to 51%. If you're at that 80% mark, as they referenced, you would be paying between 59 and 65% of your take-home pay. And if you're married, it'd be slightly lower at 57 to 64% of your take-home pay. And if you're up at that 120% mark, you'd be between 41% and 45%. And if you're married, you'd be between 38% and 43%. I don't know anyone in their right mind that would want to sign up for something that's going to take basically half of their take-home pay after all said and done, and that's just for the mortgage and lease. That's not accounting for the utilities, the taxes, insurance, anything of that nature. And if you look up what is a reasonable someone should spend on a monthly mortgage, it's 28%, nowhere near what they're asking for here. And I'll also reference that the numbers given by Mr. Brad Fain was wildly off, as the 2-bedroom apartments here are anywhere between $1,600 and $2,000 a month, depending on which month it actually is. So that they are far from where they need to be. And for that, as it stands, I encourage you to vote no to annexation and the zoning map change. And I plead to the developers to go back and research what is attainable and affordable for this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Barry Hunter?
Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. This is my first time ever to address the town council. Thank you for the opportunity. It does say that I am for the annexation, and my main point is, if this project moves forward, it should be annexed into the town of Prescott Valley, because then, as this was mentioned in the open house that was just a couple of nights ago, you would have more control over the water, and you would have the emergency services. I actually work for a manufacturer, and we have emergency people that are related or married to the people that I work with. And they just tell us stories of things that happen in the county versus things that happen in the town.
So I think just for those reasons, it's important to go ahead and annex the property. But I was very encouraged when you stated that there's no way that the town of Prescott Valley would approve 3,500 homes. So I am not a fan of heavy density, but I am a fan of affordable housing and finding something that works for the people that serve our county. I think that's really important. I am a resident of Quailwood. We bought our home 4 years ago. If I had to buy it today, I couldn't afford it. And it's just part of the way society is today. It's very difficult. So I applaud you for looking at solutions that will work for the town. And I sincerely agree with what the previous speaker said about the affordability. That is very difficult. But I just wanted to say, if the project moves forward, I think it's important that it is annexed into the town of Prescott Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Last one, Christine.
Christine?
Unpronounceable last name.
Actually, my name is Christine Junta, 9381 East Manzanita Circle. My husband and I have owned our home for 19 years, and coming from the most densely populated state in the country, we purchased an existing house that is in a low-density, quiet neighborhood. One of my concerns with the Lakeshore 650 project is the traffic. The back of my house is on a hill that faces Lakeshore Drive, and when my windows are open, I can hear the sounds of the occasional vehicle along that road. I can't imagine what it will sound like when, and I took this number from the presentation Tuesday, 3,000 homes times 2 vehicles drive that street. I'm glad to hear that it's not going to be that. But even if only half use that route, that's a possible 3,000 cars a day. I fear that when complete, I will be listening to the sounds of a major freeway. I can't imagine what it would be like for the homes that are actually on Lakeshore. I already avoid driving down Lakeshore to Navajo because it is difficult and dangerous at times to make the left-hand turn necessary for me to reach my home. I foresee a need for a 4-way stop or worse, a traffic light to avoid multiple accidents. Second, as a retired educator, I've experienced what an influx of school-age children does to a school system. My concern is not only classroom space, but recruiting teachers. An Arizona School Personnel Administrators Association report for the 2023-2024 school year said that 29.7% of teaching positions in the state were still vacant in September, up from 26.6% at the same time last year. That translated into 2,230 vacant teaching positions through the first few weeks of the school year. As of now, there are 9 vacancies for educators in the Humboldt School District. Where will we get the teachers to accommodate the increase in population that this project and others will produce? Additionally, I can hardly find a parking space or 5 slot with the current population. Between the new apartments off Navajo, the new apartments on Florentine, the Baja apartments, and now this, it will be much worse. My husband and I are already thinking of driving to Willow Creek 5, which will result in a loss of sales tax to our town. On the Fane's Signature Group webpage, it states, quote, "Every development and land deal we enter into requires countless decisions. Each decision has to respect nature, the land, and the local community. I don't believe this project conforms to any of those goals. For these reasons and the others that others have stated, I request that the council vote no on the annexation of the Lakeshore 650 property into Prescott Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
No one else, Mayor.
No more?
No one else, no more.
Well, ma'am, you wanted to go last.
Good evening. I want to thank all of my neighbors for coming here tonight and so eloquently speaking their words. But I have a question. I'd like to know why there hasn't been a moratorium on building. That's my concern. I moved here as a last stop. I'm 82. Right now I'm healthy as a horse, but who knows what tomorrow's going to bring. With 3,500 homes even thought of coming in is absolutely heartbreaking. We've lost the Longhorns that were visible on a daily basis off of Superstition and Kearney Drive where I live. I miss the javelinas, no matter how destructive they are. I miss the skunks, no matter how bad they smell. But most of all, I'm going to miss the closeness of my neighbors. I'm going to have to start locking my doors with the idea that these people are coming in from places that have no civility. And they're absolutely going to I'm not going to swear.
Well, that's good.
Anyway, I'd like to see you talk more about a moratorium. But I do say this to all of you with the strongest heart that I can do, including you, Mayor. If any of you vote to annex this property, I will work myself into a grave that you never hold office here again.
Ma'am, the clerk needs your name. Ma'am, the clerk needs your name because you didn't sign in. Ellen Hughes. Mr. Ruby? Mr. Ruby, I just want to go over a few things, just to make sure that I'm on the same page and everyone else here is on the same page.
Yes, sir.
In the event that nothing happens, like the event that the town of Prescott Valley does not annex this property, the property owner has two options. One is to go through the county and try to put this project through the county at whatever density they choose to or whatever the project looks like. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
And then the other option is they don't need to go to the county. They could just break it up into 2-acre parcels similar to like Cuddy Springs or Paquito Valley and just do that out there. Is that correct?
They could do that allowed by right. Yes, sir.
With there's no approvals to that. They
No
could just start
approvals
selling the
required.
property. So that would mean just wells and septic. Okay. Folks, a lot of the things that you guys all talked about, we are 100% on board. We're on the same page in regards to what you're talking about. You want quality of life to be good. You don't want crime. You want to make sure traffic is going good. You want certain amenities. You want, at some point, we all love living here, right? Is there anyone here that doesn't love living in Prescott Valley? Like that's why you're here tonight, right? You're passionate enough to come out here on a Thursday night because you care about Prescott Valley. Everyone here, there's no doubt about that. At the end of the day, we can talk about, we received, I think the current count, just for the record, is we had 43 emails in favor of annexation. We had 10 emails come in against annexation. We had Yavapai County Supervisor James Gregory was for annexation into Prescott Valley. County Supervisor Mary Mallory also believes the project should be in Prescott Valley. And I know we're talking about, some people still brought up the 3,500 homes. We don't know what we don't know. The landowner may have in their mind what they think the perfect utopia is for this property, but that's not what we all agree on. So at some point, we still have to believe in property rights. We still have to believe in America. These folks still own their property. They still was a part of the general plan that was voted on, as I mentioned, 3 different times. It's not they're not doing something out of the ordinary in regards to this. All I'm saying is at the end of the day, if 9 months from now, they stick to their guns and they say, we want 3,000 homes. Well, it's going to be a no vote for me. Absolutely not. That's not going to bring benefit to the town of Prescott Valley. But I think it's a conversation we can all have, and I think everyone in this room is capable of having that conversation. Everyone can sit down in a room and we can just write it all out and say, this is what we expect to see over there. The gentleman, is he still here? Speaking of the wildlife in the back, that's important. I mean, my kids love seeing the coyotes and then the pronghorn. That's all something that makes Prescott Valley. So we need to figure out what that looks like to make sure that we're all good. And I think a lot of things too, and it might be a communication issue, is I had some people come up and they were like, 3,500 homes, that's incredible, we can't handle that in 5 years. And I don't know what's been being communicated, but just for example, Granville was approved for around 3,400, 3,500 homes almost 30 years ago, and they haven't even hit that. So it wasn't something that happened overnight, Granville did. It was spread out over time, which they were able to, look what is happening in Glassford Hill. When Granville started, Glassford Hill was 1 lane north and 1 lane south. And look, as that has grown, so has Glassford Hill. So all I'm saying is, at this point, we just need to have a conversation and move on from there. And don't think and don't leave here, and I don't know how the rest of the vote's going to go. I'm just telling you, I am voting to just move forward with hearing what the developer has to say and what we as a community can do to make Prescott Valley better. Because we all need grocery stores. We all want grocery stores. I bet there's not one person in here who doesn't think we need another grocery store. And we need more medical. And these are things that we can work on together, and we can talk with the developer and say, we need a special medical section of this project, or we need a special commercial area of this 650 acres. And those are things that they can work on. Whatever the case may be. Again, I'm just saying as a conversation, everybody can have that. And we can all weigh in on what this looks like. So just be patient. Trust that we have some of the best staff in the state of Arizona. You can laugh, and I will stand here and stand strong. And then, if at the end of the day you want to vote me out, that's fine. But at the end of the day, I go home, and the things that keep me up are the things that get me out of bed in the morning, and it's for doing what's best for Prescott Valley. I have kids. What's that? And ma'am, I would love that. I would love to hear your ideas. I mean, you still got, another 30 years left in life on Kearney, right? So what I'm saying is, everyone brings good thoughts, and not everyone was born in Arizona. Someone might come from a different town in a different part of the country and say, hey, this worked here, and this might work in this portion of Prescott Valley. That's all I'm saying, folks. Be patient and just know that the communication is going to be open doors on that. And with that, I open it up to the Vice Mayor.
Me?
The Vice Mayor.
Okay, that's me. I agree with what the mayor said with regard to this property being within the 2035 general plan to be annexed. And it sounds like it was in previous general plans at least 3 other times. I'm going to vote yes to support this annexation. That does not mean that I am, excuse me, I respected you when you talked. I do not support the project as proposed. I think for logical planning reasons and because it was in the 2035 general plan, and many of you voted yes on our general plan, that it should be, this parcel, not a project, this parcel should be annexed into the town. It's landlocked into Prescott Valley by Fane Road. And I agree with what the mayor said. If the county were to develop this and we didn't put it in the town and we lost control of any development there, they could build 2-acre parcels and and septic and wells. Talk about depleting our water system. None of that water in those wildcat subdivisions gets recycled and put back into the aquifer. None of it. It goes to Never Never Land. And so I don't want to see 2-acre wildcat sewer, septic, and wells out there. I think, again, I don't support the current project as proposed. I haven't seen the project. We haven't been privy to any of the site plans or anything. I just don't like the numbers that are being thrown around. It's possible that this area gets annexed and it stays open space. It's possible that this area gets annexed, gets annexed into the town and we require it to be developed at the current zoning with water and sewer from the town. Thank you.
Council, any other comments? No? I'm going to close the public hearing at this point. I'm sorry, Mr. Rubin, is there anything else that?
Not unless there's more questions from the council.
All right. Oh, hang on a second.
From what I understand, if it was developed, the Lakeshore 650, it would be in phases. how many phases?
That hasn't been determined yet, but a project this size would probably, as the mayor indicated about Granville, would take 10, 15, 20 to 30 years to fully build out.
Thank you, sir. We're closing the public hearing.
May I ask a question?
Oh, we'll open it up right for you, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You'll have to come up though, sir.
Okay.
You can come to the front, sir. Oh. State your name, please, sir.
Thank you. My name is Mike Reed, 4566 North Socorro in Prescott Valley. Lots of great comments tonight, and thank you for letting me ask the question. My question is about water. I'm a no vote, by the way, and I have watched some material from the Arizona Water Association group that indicates that we are already 2,500 acre feet per year behind schedule of running out of water. So all these comments are great, but bottom line is, if we're going to run out of water, what's the point of it? That was my question.
Thank you, sir. And all those, that's a very valid question. I mean, we live in Arizona, sir. So hopefully over time, and there's no magic answer to that, but over time for the next, 9, 10 months in regards to this project, I think that's something that will definitely be addressed.
As long as we don't kick it down the road.
And that, sir, is absolutely, I agree 100% with you. Mr. Davison, can I ask you a quick question? I believe you had a candid conversation with an individual by the name of Gary Beverly in regards to this project. And could you share a little bit about his thoughts on this?
So Mr. Beverly and I have been talking about, ways that we can, approach our water challenges in unique ways. And this was a project that was of interest to him, and working with the developer of rainwater harvesting and ways to try to capture water throughout the development to try to recharge back into the aquifers. So I know that he and members of the development team have been having conversations about that, and that will certainly be a key item that we'll be talking about with the developer going forward on this.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ruby, if there's nothing else, we'll call the vote.
Mr. Mayor, could I make just a...
Hang on a second. We can do questions. I don't know if we'll have answers. They're more like comments. If you can do comments, come on up, ma'am.
Hi, Councilwoman Greer. This is Janine Tolley, live. Okay, I have a question for you. You said that you wanted to have open conversation, right? Okay, the open conversation needs to be truthful, transparent, honest, no disingenuous, no dishonesty, okay? Because the residents here in Unit 20 in Superstition Hills have gotten nothing but that from the Thane brothers. I'm telling you honestly.
I'm sorry, from whom?
From the Thane brothers, okay? And it has rubbed us the wrong way in a big way, okay? That's not vernacular, I'm just saying. And one of the things about the water, Congressman Eli Crane has done several podcast interviews. You can find it online. And one of his top concerns is water shortage in the state of Arizona, and most importantly in this district. And we are all his constituents. And he's very concerned about it. There's other things too, the border, et cetera. But I'm saying, why would he bring that up as one of his top if it wasn't an issue? I addressed this with the so-called water expert on Tuesday, right? He had nothing to say, okay? He didn't want to hear it. And he basically told me, if you have an issue, you bring it up with the Thane brothers. This is the treatment we're having. So you can say open conversation and all this and that, but if it's not coming from the source that is trying to basically destroy our neighborhood with this development, how far are we going to get? Not very far.
Ma'am, I completely understand your frustration. I couldn't imagine being in your position, or anyone's position here, going to a meeting, wanting to find answers, and leaving with more questions than you got answers to. And I'm sure that's happened before. So that is what we're trying to eliminate. Sir, if you'd like to make a comment, you got to come up here, though, so please. I apologize. We have to use the microphone. Welcome, sir. Just state your name, please.
My name is Paul Gunn. I used to work for the city of LA for 27 and a half years. Dense population causes riots. I've survived the LA riots, barely. Also, they haven't talked about the fact that they're talking about turning Lakeshore into a 4 or 5 lane road. They can't even control the speed on a 2-lane. We have cars doing 50 miles an hour past our house. If they do this development, it's going to cut right into my side yard completely. I don't want to live by a freeway again. I did it once. It was a nightmare. At the same time, that's going to cut my property value. I'm a disabled vet. I'm too old to start over again. We moved to a peaceful neighborhood. It's not going to be peaceful. That many developments is inadequate. We lived next to a house where you could reach out and touch the neighbor. And our neighbors were constantly talking about our kids. Fortunately, my son is a police officer. And right now, and he gives his life to the community that he works for. And now he's giving it to the military because he's been pulled for active duty, going over to the sandbox. And I don't want to see my rights gone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I have a question because I don't want to leave this room.
Name, ma'am.
My name is Kelly Scott, and it's for Lori Hunt. Lori, did I understand you to say you haven't seen this project that the fans have proposed? I'm confused by that because there was a meeting 2 nights ago and they had their illustration boards. I missed the first meeting because I was ill. I met with the Fangs, not only at their meetings, but I asked to meet with them, and they met with me for 2 hours. So information, power is knowledge, and I just wanted to make sure I heard you because I couldn't believe that nobody has attended any of the public meetings to see what is being proposed, what the Fangs actually have to say, and I did ask for a meeting. They gave me 2 hours of their time. We had a very in-depth meeting, but I just did not want to leave here confused because we as citizens have taken our time from our busy lives, all right? And we have done our homework. And so my question was, I just couldn't believe you hadn't attended any of these meetings. Or the information is online. You can access all of this information online. And I think it's really important when we make these votes, we do it as informed public servants. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Leora Trevor, and I was listening to what you said, and I thought you made a really good point about taking it out of the county's hands and putting it in the town's hand to protect that land. I'm saying, okay, go ahead and annex it, but leave it alone. I live on just off of Superstition. I get coyotes and skunks in my yard nightly. And I love it there, and I love that there's no lights, and it's just an amazing place to live. I moved here in 1992. There was one red light in the whole town. It was Robert Road and 69. And I grew up with the idea that when you, like the President of the United States, you serve the people, you come to the Senate, and it comes right down to the local level right here, you guys, and you represent the people. And I hope you're listening tonight to what the people are saying. Go ahead and annex it. Let's protect it. Let's protect our water. Let's protect our roads. I creep from one red light to the next. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And again, folks, a vote tonight is not a vote to annex in. It's just a vote to have a conversation. And the one woman that was up here who was saying, well, you haven't been to one of the meetings. Well, you have to picture it like a rough draft of a book. An author writes a book, they have a rough draft. The rough draft and the final draft are totally separate. So showing up at a meeting where they're talking about 3,500 homes, they're going to take input from all of the residents, and they're going to find out what the residents want. So what you may have seen last week, hopefully is not going to be what you see at the end project. So that's the difference there in regards to what happens. We make our decisions off the dais, off of the final project, and what that final version of what they are presenting. It wouldn't be fair to judge a book early on, and neither should we do with a project as well. Ma'am, you come up.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name's Lisa Bartlett, and I live in Pronghorn Ranch. And I enjoy the beauty of this ground that they want to develop. But I want to suggest to you, there's people looking in Arizona to live that have more money than most of the people living here now. Those buildings, homes that the Fane's thinking of putting there will never be affordable living for our grocery store clerks or our nurses or waitresses, like they try and say they want to provide affordable housing for. I think everyone agrees that's not going to happen. So why not look at it differently? Why not make it a minimum of a 10-acre ranchette, like an area for gentlemen ranches? That would save the area for the animals. It'll take less stress off of the aquifer, and it would be beautiful. Somebody buying 10 acres of ground at whatever that price is going to be, they're going to put a beautiful home in there. So let's start thinking in real terms about what to do with it. If we're going to develop it, we're going to bring it in the Prescott Valley. Let's make it beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, could I?
I'm sorry, Mr. Legler.
I just need to remind you that, and all of us, that the agenda is only for a public hearing tonight. There is no vote. There is nothing on the agenda suggested that there would be a formal vote of the council tonight. The statute requires that there be a public hearing during that 30-day period, towards the end of the 30-day period. Staff simply needs to know, should they consider getting signatures on petitions. And of course, there's only one property owner. So the point of all of this is this was a statutory requirement in order for annexation to be part of a future discussion related to the zoning and development agreement approvals. All of that will likely happen, if it does happen, in another meeting as a package. So the only purpose tonight was to statutorily hold this public hearing. So there is no vote, and frankly, you can end the agenda item here.
Thank you, sir. And again, folks, if anyone wishes to speak offline, in person, at any time, please, please, please contact my office and schedule it with staff or myself or anyone from council. Thank you. Moving on, item 8B. I'm closing the public hearing. Item 8B, zoning code amendment fees and planning and zoning chair.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, the zoning code amendment to Chapter 13 deals with two different areas. The first is the fees, and as if you will recall, the town recently passed a comprehensive fee schedule. The fee schedule actually removed any fees that were in Chapter 13. So that is the first part of the item before you in terms of Chapter 13.
And Mr. Arruti, this is also a public hearing.
Okay. At its meeting on August 14th, this is the second part of the amendment to Chapter 13. On August 14th, Planning and Zoning Commission took public comment and voted to amend its bylaws. to correspond with language in the town code requiring the vice chair to automatically replace the chairperson at the end of the chairperson's one-year term. Further, out of that meeting, the P&Z asked for a special meeting to review recommendations. That was held on August 31st. Out of that meeting, a draft amendment was prepared and subsequently revised in coordination with the legal department. It proposed that the chairperson and vice chair to both now have 2-year terms on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that they have the election held in November of odd years, as opposed to the 1 year that was previously adopted. So that is what is before you. The office of the chairperson, if the office of the chairperson becomes vacant during their term, the chairperson does automatically become chairperson for the balance of that term. And an election is held for office of the vice chair subsequent to that. However, if the office of the chairperson does become vacant and the chairperson does automatically assume that chair, election is held, and that chair or vice chair may not consecutively serve more than one full 2-year term. However, they may serve more than one term if such term is not consecutive, and if they are serving a prior term for the position they replaced. The P&Z held its regular meeting on October 9th. It held a public hearing on this item and proposed that the ordinance that removes the fee references in Chapter 13 and amends subsection 1328.020B regarding election of the chairperson and vice chair move forward. After the public hearing, the commission recommended adoption of the ordinance. Because the ordinance that is before you, 2023-929, is somewhat lengthy and there's a desire to avoid significant publication costs, Arizona law states that provided for the portion of such ordinances that will be published and to be shortened. This involves creating a separate document with the substance of the ordinance in it. This is then declared to be a public record by resolution of the council. Then the public record is adopted by reference by the shortened ordinance. Resolution 2023-2346 before you declares the document to be a public record. And ordinance 2023-929 adopts the public record by reference. Herein, there's 2 recommended motions to the council. First, motion to authorize the mayor to sign resolution 2023-2346 declaring a public record of that document entitled Amendments Chapter 13 Zoning Comprehensive Fee Schedule and P&Z Commission Chairperson Selection. The second motion would be to read the ordinance 2023-929 by title only on 2 separate occasions and then place the same on final passage, adopting by reference the public record Amendments Chapter 13 Zoning Procedures for Fee Adoption and P&Z Chairman Selection. Staff recommends adoption of ordinance 2023-929, amending the zoning code to remove references to fees and to revise the appointment of the P&Z chair and vice chair. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Ruby?
I have a really quick question. I understand the automatic part, if the chair leaves, the vice chair becomes automatic, but we took out the automatic part that the vice chair is automatically the next chair. We took that part out. Yes, okay, good.
Yeah, Councilman, if I could just say, during the 2-year term, the vice chair would become the chair, but when the actual term ends, anyone can become the chair.
Okay, that's what I thought. So the automatic part that we had in before is out.
Correct.
So with that, I'd like to make, unless there's any other questions, sorry.
We'll need 2 motions again. This will be
Right.
motion A.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign resolution number 2023-2346, declaring as a public record a document entitled Amendment Chapter 13 Zoning Comprehensive Fee Schedule and P&Z Commission Chairperson Selection by electronic vote.
I second it.
Clerk, please call the vote. And the public hearing is closed.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Next motion.
And I'd like to make a motion to read ordinance number 2023-929 by title only on two separate occasions and place the same on final passage, adopting by reference the public record amendments, Chapter 13 zoning procedures, fees, adoptions, and P&Z chairperson selection by electronic vote.
I second it.
Clerk, please call the vote.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 8C has been removed.
Sorry, let me
Oh,
read
I'm
the
sorry,
ordinance.
ma'am. My bad.
Ordinance 2023-929, an ordinance of the mayor and common council of the town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, adopting by reference that certain document entitled Amendments Chapter 13 Zoning, Procedures, Fee Adoption, and P&C Commission Chairperson Selection, declared by resolution number 2023-2346 to be a public record, amending or repealing various sections in Chapter 13 that set fees, charges, fines, and sanctions to refer instead to the comprehensive fee schedule separately adopted from time to time by resolution of the Town Council. Amending Section 13-2320 structure to clarify and streamline the election and terms of office of the Planning and Zoning Commission chairperson and vice chairperson, and providing that all other chapters, articles, and sections of the town code not herein repealed or amended shall remain in full force and effect, providing that if any provision in this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remaining provisions shall not be affected but shall continue in full force and effect, and providing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 8C has been removed. Next up, item 8D, Series 10 liquor license, Mercado de Pueblo. Ms. Greenwood.
Good evening. Victor Medina Olmedo, agent, filed a new application for a Series 10 liquor license on behalf of Mercado del Pueblo, located at 8147 East Spouse Drive. A copy of the application was posted for 20 days on the front of the premise as required by Arizona law. No arguments in favor of or opposed to the issuance of the license were received. It is recommended Town Council recommend approval of the application to the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control. That is all I have.
Council, we have any questions about this? I'm going to entertain a motion, and keep in mind we have 3 motions.
Want to do the public hearing, Mayor?
Why don't we do a public hearing? Thank you, clerk. Anyone have any comments about this? You're more than welcome to come up and speak. With that being said, we'll close the public hearing. Now we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to recommend approval of the Series 10 liquor license application for Mercado del Pueblo located at 8147 East Spouse Drive to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control by electronic vote. Second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
I'll need another motion.
We're good. That passes unanimously, sorry.
Next up, item 8E, bulk water sales regulation. Mr. Wadsworth.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. So we get to continue discussions on water from our previous meeting. Tonight we're talking about the bulk water sales policy, and I'm going to go through a little bit of background here, and then I know you have a number of potential actions you're going to take, and I'll probably let Ivan Legler walk you through those, just because there's a lot of them and they're confusing, and he can probably direct it the correct way. So we were talking earlier about water rates, and we did talk about potential rates for hydrant meters that would be part of that action. Just to go back and talk about why are we looking at hydrant meters and potentially limiting their use, and what we're talking about doing is restricting usage for temporary construction only. Currently, we have no restrictions on what that water can be used for. So it's being used for all different purposes. Most municipalities in Arizona and other places do not allow hydrant meters to be used for anything other than for temporary construction purposes. The reason for that, well, there's a number of reasons. So it's hard to monitor and track water usage. We've talked about the fact that we have dry barrel hydrants, which means that every time you open a hydrant, that hydrant fills up with water. When you close the hydrant, the water that remains inside the hydrant that wasn't used must drain out into the ground so that those hydrants don't freeze. So we're losing a minimum of 10 to 15 gallons every time those meters are operated and allowing water to go through them. Also, those types of meters and the users don't pay water capacity or water resource fees that our permanent meter customers have to pay. It's a one-time fee, and for a single-family residential, those fees are currently around $3,000. For a larger size meter, like a 3-inch meter, those fees can be in the $50,000 range as a one-time fee, and so those customers don't have to pay that, so they're really not fairly paying their share of the costs of our water system. And there is higher maintenance costs on hydrants due to frequency of usage. Those need to be there for fire suppression reasons. That's why we're looking at it. So what we're proposing is that all new and future bulk water sales from hydrant meters will be restricted to temporary construction usage. We're looking at installing a water fill station somewhere in the town so that those users that were using all of those hydrants would still have a place that they could get water from. We will set those fees according to what it takes to run that station. We're also looking at putting in a 3-year, kind of like a grace period, so that anybody who's using those meters now, we're not saying, hey, tomorrow you're not using it anymore. We've got a 3-year period of time while we're looking at constructing this fill station, that those usages could continue and allow those people time to either transition to another source such as a bulk fill station, or potentially put in their own, like if it's an existing business in town, they could put in the appropriate size meter on their property and utilize that. One of the suggestions we have in there is that meters that are not used for a 60-day period of time will be removed, and that account will be closed. Once an account is closed and somebody wants a new use or wants to get a hydrant meter from us, moving forward, even starting now, that will only be new meters used or issued for temporary construction only. So that's what I believe what the ordinance says. We talked about the town has roughly 80 hydrant meters out there. The yellow dots show those locations. We talked about the different uses for that. There's a number of different ones: landscaping, residential water deliveries, construction, which is what we're proposing to continue to allow, pesticide applications, government, town, and other. These were some other communities and what they allow hydrant meters to be used for. As I mentioned, most of them only allow it to be used for temporary construction only.
Mr. Rogers, I'm just confused. How did Oakland get in there?
I'm sorry?
How did Oakland just get as one of our
as I was going through trying to find communities and what they allowed, it's not real easy to find this information, but Oakland popped right up, and so I just included them.
Fair enough. All right.
And you can see the Flagstaff actually doesn't allow it even for temporary construction. They only allow it for firefighting and special events only. So there's, a number of different ways to approach this, but I think we are by far the most generous or open on what we currently allow those meters to be used for. And so we, as we talked about this policy, we did get input from the Yavapai County Contractors Association. We put out numerous notices in newspapers, social media, the town news. We sent direct mail notices to our existing hydrant meter customers to inform them of the policy and what we were going to be doing. And we also had an open house meeting to discuss that with anybody who might have concerns, plus they could call us or call me. So the results of that effort, I had 2 phone calls, received 6 email comments. During the open house, we had 2 people attend, and I believe at your meeting last month, a couple weeks ago, you had 1 comment at that point in time. So that is the input that we've received back from our community. The comments were a little bit balanced. There were people concerned because they live in the county areas, their wells have gone dry. This would potentially impact or greatly restrict their ability to obtain water. Also, it would cause their cost of water to go up substantially. We had a couple of other people comment that that water should not be used for anything outside of Prescott Valley. That's Prescott Valley's water, and those residents need to find their own water sources. Others that said, there was one that said, we shouldn't even be looking at a bulk water policy because it's going to be bad for Prescott Valley. I think they misunderstood. They didn't know we were already doing it, and we were talking about cutting back. So those were quotes from some of the emails I received. More succinctly, some people wanted continued usage outside of the town. If we do have a water station, don't restrict what it's used for, which the intent is that we wouldn't. This would impact county residents. It would cause water wars and selling water to the highest bidder. And they wanted water sold at the same cost as for town residents. As you're aware, at our meeting a little bit earlier, we did talk about the cost and what the charges might be for hydrant meters. And based on the direction received from you, for the most part, those costs are going to be identical to what our town citizens will be paying with the proposed rates that we're looking at. We were going to potentially slightly bump up the monthly base fee over what a comparable meter of that size in the town of Prescott Valley would be charged. And so the base fee for a 3-inch meter for a permanent meter is roughly going to be about $59 a month. And what we were talking about was charging $100 a month for a hydrant meter. So the proposed ordinance, again, in summary, would allow for only temporary construction uses, and that would be for future applications or new applications that came in today. It would discontinue those existing accounts after 60 days of non-use, provides for a 3-year implementation period to allow the existing uses to keep continuing, to allow those users time, if necessary, to find other methods of obtaining water, and allow the town a couple years for locating or finding a location for a fill station, designing it, and then constructing it. And the note down at the bottom just refers to our previous discussion that the actual rates would be determined as part of the rate hearing, the public hearing that will take place at the meeting in December, and the vote that you would conduct at that time. So obviously getting input from council today, which we've received, and then going on to potentially pass the ordinance. Tonight would be the first reading, I believe, of that. And Mr. Legler, do you want to chime in here?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I just want to remind you that once again, we'll be doing 2 things. We'll be amending the ordinance, but we'll also be amending the customer account regulations by resolution. So there will actually be 3 motions. The first thing you'll be doing is what you did similarly to what you did in 8B, adopting the amendment to the ordinance, and that'll involve the reading of the resolution, voting on the resolution, and then the motion for the ordinance. After that's done and the clerk has read the ordinance for the first reading, then it's proposed that you read another resolution that amends those customer account regulations.
Mr. Mayor, I have one quick question for Neil.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Neil, real quick, our friends in the county that shop and eat here, if they have a dry well, they're still going to be able to get bulk water, both now within the 3 years and once we get the standing pipe.
That's correct. Because there are a number of bulk water haulers that deliver potable water out to the county areas. They have meters with us now, and those accounts would remain active for the next 3 years as we're going through this process. Once that bulk or water fill station was established within this 3-year time frame, then they would have access to that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Entertain a motion? What's going on?
Mr. Mayor, if I could make a motion, I would like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign resolution number 2023-2345, declaring the document amendments, Town Code, Chapter 9, regulation, bulk water sales to be a public record by electronic vote.
Have a second?
I'll second.
There's no public hearing on this one, sir.
Can't activate the vote for whatever reason. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Greer? Yes. Councilmember Dickinson?
Yes.
Councilmember Schumacher?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hunt?
Yes.
Mayor Pagoda?
Yes.
That passes.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to read ordinance number 2023-929 by title only on 2 separate occasions and place the same on final passage, adopting by reference the public record entitled Amendments to Town Code, Chapter 9, Regulation Bulk Water Sales by Electronic Vote.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Schumacher?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hunt?
Yes.
Mayor Pagoda?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickinson?
Yes.
Councilmember Greer?
Yes.
That passes unanimously. So I'm going to read it right now. Ordinance number 2023-926. An ordinance of the mayor and common council of the town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, adopting by reference that certain document amendments Town Code Chapter 9, regulation bulk water sales, declared by resolution number 2023-2345 to be a public record. Amending sections 9-05A-45 water conservation, 9-05A-75 domestic water system maintenance, and 9-05A-90 cross connection control program, renaming and amending section 9-05A-80 hydrants and adding a new section 9-05A-85 water fill stations, and Article 905A, domestic water service, and amending section 905B, 45, water conservation, 905B, 80, reclaim water system maintenance, and 905B, 90, hydrants, and adding a new section 905B, 95, water fill stations, and Article 905B, reclaim water service, all in Chapter 9, Health and Sanitation of the Town Code, to regulate bulk water sales as part of implementing the town's water management plan, providing that all other chapters, articles, and sections of the Town Code not herein renamed, amended, and enacted shall remain in full force and effect, providing that if any provision in this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remaining provision shall not be affected but shall continue in full force and effect, and providing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law.
One more motion. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign resolution number 2023-2346, amending customer accounts regulations to limit bulk water sales by electronic vote.
I'll second.
Clerk, please call the vote.
Happened to work now. That passes, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 8F, Agreement Barry Dunn IT/GIS Strategic Plan. Mr. Prentice.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm happy to be the caboose. You guys have in front of you a professional services agreement to design and develop a 5-year strategic plan for IT and GIS. As you guys know, technology is always advancing at a rapid pace, and it is our job to make sure that we stay on the cusp of those technologies, or if we can stay in front of them, that's even better. We strongly believe this plan will help us do that and provide us a clear roadmap for the future and help us be more forward-thinking and efficient as a department so we can serve our town staff and citizens. As part of the process, we advertised a request for qualifications document a month ago and received 4 responses from firms. And upon a review, we scored the firms based on various elements, including project understanding and approach. And based on our final scoring, we selected Barry Dunn as our most qualified firm to do the job. And they are a large firm. They've done many types of these projects across the U.S. for similar sized municipalities. And so we feel really confident that they can do a good job for us, and we're extremely happy to have them on board. Our budget for this project is $100,000, in which we received a cost proposal from Barry Dunn in the amount of $97,775, so which is just under budget. The plan is estimated to take roughly 8 months to complete, and so we are obviously anxious to get moving on this project. And with that said, we do appreciate legal's quick turnaround on the review of this agreement so we could present it here tonight. And at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Council, we have any questions? Not too often you hear the words excited and IT in the same sentence.
That's right. That's right.
If there's no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a professional services agreement with Barry Dunn for design and development of an IT GIS strategic plan in the amount of $97,775 and travel costs up to electronic vote.
Okay.
Clerk, please call the vote.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second it.
Clerk?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if I could, I've given the invocation. That was for God's blessing. I'd like you to benediction for what we've been through tonight, if I may.
Fair enough, sir.
Almighty God, you have been the audience to everything that has been said tonight, every attitude that has been expressed, every concern that has been shared. Father, as we leave this place, may we be your audience, that we may receive what you have for us. And even those who have left, Father, you know how to minister to them. So we all have the right attitude, the right direction, the right purpose, moving in a way that would be pleasing to you. I offer this prayer to you through Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
With
sir.
that, we are adjourned.